I did a video fairly recently talking about my latest setup with my personal sized Filofax Malden as a wallet. And I talked about how I made this pocket. It's double-sided so I can keep my money in it, because when I put dollar bills like here, they fly all over the place and I make it rain, and sometimes I don't want to make it rain. So I made this little pocket to hold them, and people asked me if I could do a tutorial on how I made it. So I'm going to show you, and trust me when I say there's probably more efficient ways to do this. That's just apparently not how I roll. So what you're going to need to make this pocket is paper, for one. So for this part, like the main piece of the pocket, you're going to want something that has two sides, because you're going to be hopefully, you don't have to use both sides, but with the way I'm doing this, you're going to need two sides. So what I've got is a piece of paper from a previous Planner Society kit, because I happen to have a bunch of that on hand, and it's got two different sides. What you'll need is another piece of paper, and this is a scrap that I already have because I'm trying to use my stash, but another piece of paper. It doesn't have to have two sides. It can only be one-sided if you have. This one is, but like I said, it's a scrap. And you want to pick a pattern that kind of goes with both sides. So like, I think these bows kind of go good with both sides. You'll also need washi tape. This is slightly thicker. I think I got it from Michael's. It's slightly wider than general washi tape. Like regular washi tape's a little bit less wide. But if you have a slightly, like, don't go any skinnier than like standard washi tape. But if you have a roll that's a little bit wider, I'd recommend that instead. And again, pick it that kind of looks nice with what you're using. And then you'll need a ruler. You'll need a paper trimmer or scissors. Use what you have. And then you'll need a punch. Now I have the Rapesco punch for both my A5 and my personal size things. You can just use a regular hole punch if you have a personal size insert that's already punched that you can use as a guide. So we're going to measure the original piece of paper, and it's going to, the height of your insert is going to be about 6 3/4. And I guess a pencil. Gosh, I'm really good at, offering information. So then for about 3 7/8 is going to be your width. Once you have your paper measured out, that's when you get your scissors or your paper trimmer and you just cut it to size. This gives you the base of your pocket. For the actual pocket part, you're going to want to cut another piece that is going to be about 3.5 inches tall. Now, that 3.5 inches tall, that's kind of up for debate. This one I did is 3.5 inches tall. This piece of scrap that I'm using is technically 3 3/4 tall. And honestly, I don't think it's going to matter that much in terms of that height making things difficult for the pocket. So I'm just going to leave it at that height because I am fucking lazy. But you are going to want to cut it to the right width. And the right width is 7 3/4 wide. And this is enough to wrap around the entirety of the pocket, like of the little folder. And I'm going to list the measurements in the description below. Here is where having a cutter, especially one that has a scorer blade on it, is going to be helpful. Because if you have a scorer blade, then you can score your pocket right down the center, which would be about 3 7/8 is your halfway point. So just mark your halfway point. Go ahead and run the scorer over it. If you don't have a scorer, you can still fold it without using a scorer. It just makes it a little bit crisper, because the scorer puts the divot in it. What will happen is you will fold it and it will slip quite neatly around your folder. Mine's a little off, but whatever, that's what washi tape is for. So the next thing you're going to need to do is cut the diagonal. And for that, again, paper trimmer works really well. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just line up, kind of give yourself like an angle so that you're cutting down diagonally. Doesn't have to be perfect, just enough to go from the top down to the bottom. And then cut that piece off, and suddenly you have a very nice, neat pocket. To get this pocket to stay, this is where washi tape comes in. Line your pocket up with your piece of scrapbook paper. Now you know everybody needs to find uses for washi tape. Well, this is one of them. So grab yourself out, where the fuck is the end of this? Okay, grab yourself out a strip of washi tape. Line up your folder, make sure everything's nice and even. And then what you're gonna do is you're going to take your washi tape and lay about half of it on one side, like this. All right. Now, lift it up. Try and keep everything from going all helter-skelter. Give your washi a little trim. And you're going to flip it to the other side. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that same washi tape and just fold it right over. Now, here's where I'm going to make the same disclaimer that I made before. I'm sure that there are other ways to do this. I just don't know what they are, and I generally don't care what they are. So then just take your scissors and trim the washi tape exactly at the end. Because you don't need to seal over here. This part has the fold. That's the part that is hanging on to where it needs to be. So then if you've got like one of these like bone folders or whatever, just a hard like credit card edge, just seal it down to give it a nice tight seal. That's what she said. And then trim the other side again at the edge of the paper. Okay, now to seal the other side, we're going to do the same thing. Shit. Well, my washi tape is doing that bullshit thing where it starts to come off from the edge. Whatever. Do the same thing. Slap your washi tape down, covering about half of the paper. Now notice, because this is the thicker washi tape, that you have a little bit more room for give. That's why I suggested using like one that's slightly wider. And then come to the other side, make sure everything's smoothed down. And then down goes your washi tape. Now I cut it short enough that it doesn't go over the edge on the bottom there, because then you get those sticky edges, and there's ways to get around that, but I suck at them, so I'm not going to show that. And then once again, just take your bone folder and give it a little, if you have a bone folder, just use a credit card. But that gives you a nice pocket. See? Works on both sides. Then all you need to do is take out your handy dandy punch. You'll have to push down pretty hard because, you know, there's a bunch of layers. And you have a pocket for your, whatever, your personal size Filofax. I'm sure there's other ways to make it for bigger sizes, but I'm not going into that because I haven't done that yet. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to MacGyver yourself a money pocket for your Filofax personal size. Like you can stick, you know, dollar bills on one side, and you can stick like a receipts in the other side. I'm doing okay remembering to put the money in it. I'm sucking ass remembering to put receipts in it. But gives you a way to store your money in your Filofax without throwing it everywhere and making people think you're in a strip club. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If there are other things you want to see me do tutorial-wise that you've happened to see in any of my planners, or you just want to see me try and half-ass my way through, because that's exactly what I did here. I half-assed my way through this. If you'd like to see more half-ass tutorials, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you next time.